Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. This is not to say that we aren't nearing the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. Rather, it means we're closer now than we were before, because this entire Iranian scenario had to unfold before the next phase could begin. That's the hard truth, and for many, it's difficult to grasp. It's not the kind of headline or development one would expect to be connected with monetary reform, let alone something positive for the revaluation. But make no mistake, despite how troubling, chaotic, or even frightening the situation may appear on the surface, this event is not a setback. It's a critical piece of the puzzle that had to be put into place before Iraq could take the next leap forward in asserting control over its currency, economy, and future direction. It may seem counterintuitive, even frustrating, but it's part of the bigger story. We're watching a long-awaited, complex transformation unfold in real time. When we speak about an RV, we're not talking about a light switch someone flips overnight. We're talking about the full reconstruction and reset of an entire financial ecosystem, one that was long compromised by instability, corruption, and outside interference, especially by actors like Iran. And that's where this Iranian situation comes in. For years, Iran's economic shadow loomed over Iraq. The black market, smuggling operations, illicit currency flows, and energy dependencies had created a system where Iraq could not truly control its own monetary instruments. Every time the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, tried to assert control or transparency, that effort would be diluted or obstructed by these deeply embedded interests. What we're witnessing with the Iranian crisis is not just a political episode, it's a rebalancing of power in the region. Whether through military tension, sanctions, diplomatic maneuvering, or economic disruption, this phase had to arrive. Why? Because in order for Iraq to take control of its financial sovereignty, the grips of foreign interference needed to be loosened, dramatically, even violently. The recent shifts, including Iran's diminished ability to exploit the Iraqi black market due to tighter U.S. enforcement and the new digital systems being implemented in Iraq, are part of that recalibration. It's like removing a parasite from a host. Painful, necessary, and transformative. For example, consider that Iraq has recently accelerated its banking reforms, going as far as banning paper currency in government transactions and pushing digital payment systems with unprecedented force. These changes, on their own, would have been impossible even a year ago when Iranian-backed entities controlled key economic and political levers inside Iraq. So why now? Because the environment has changed. Because certain foreign influences have been curtailed. Because international oversight, through U.S. Treasury presence, IMF consultations, and World Bank reforms, is now being enforced more strongly. And yes, because the Iranian scenario is unfolding as it is. This is how history moves. Slowly, and then all at once. You must recognize that the path to Iraq's revaluation is not linear. It's more like a storm, chaotic at the surface but organized at the core. What looks like disorder and regional conflict is, in fact, the unmasking of decades-old imbalances. Iraq's financial system is being reset to operate independently. It is being realigned with the world, not with proxies or parallel markets. That cannot happen quietly. It requires the current system, the compromised system, to break. That breakage is what we're seeing. And yes, it's painful. But that pain is progress. It is Iraq removing the final layers of distortion that have blocked its economic rebirth. This is why I say, this is not a bad thing. This is not a delay. This is not a defeat. It is, in the broader scope, a good thing. Because once the Iranian dynamic is fully addressed, and all signs suggest we are at the climax of that process, then the door opens to the final stages of Iraq's economic transformation. That means new policies, a new exchange rate, global market access, and eventually, the full restoration of Iraq's monetary sovereignty. That's what we've all been waiting for. And it's closer now than ever. There is also something important to say about timing. Many people get discouraged when the revaluation doesn't happen on a specific date. They assume that because their expectations weren't met, the entire process is off track. But this is not a conventional investment with quarterly earnings reports or analyst calls. This is nation building. And when you're rebuilding a sovereign currency from the ashes of war, sanctions, and foreign interference, the timeline will follow the conditions, not the calendar. Right now, the conditions are aligning. Think about it. Iraq has begun linking its financial infrastructure to international systems like SWIFT. The central bank has launched platforms like Barney and plans to implement real-time gross settlement systems that meet Basel III compliance. These are not small tweaks. They are the underpinnings of a globally integrated, stable monetary system. But what use is any of that if the country's cash economy is still being siphoned by black markets controlled by foreign actors? That's why Iran had to be confronted. That's why this chapter had to unfold before the RV could proceed. And for those who still doubt that this conflict could somehow be positive for the dinar's future, look deeper. Consider how crises have historically cleared the way for transformation. World War II led to the reconstruction of Europe and the creation of the Bretton Woods system. The 2008 global financial crisis led to sweeping reforms in banking oversight and risk management. Conflict, as destructive as it is, often burns away the old and clears a path for the new. In Iraq's case, this Iranian episode is helping to unshackle the dinar from decades of entrapment. It is helping Iraq break free from the parallel economy that has haunted its every move. In the end, what you'll see is that none of this was random. The pieces fit together. The slow digitalization of Iraq's economy, the gradual isolation of Iran, the stricter control of currency auctions, the IMF oversight, the push to float the dinar, all of it is part of the same mosaic. Each part complements the next. And while the picture may not be fully visible yet, we are undeniably getting closer to completion. So even if today's news feels grim, understand the mechanics underneath it. This Iranian scenario had to happen. And now that it is happening, the process of rebuilding Iraq's currency can accelerate. We are closer now, not despite the conflict, but because of it. And soon, when the dust settles, you'll see that what looked like a detour was, in fact, the final stretch of the journey. The pieces are falling into place. And the future of the Iraqi dinar is beginning to emerge, not as a theory, but as a reality rooted in sovereignty, reform, and resilience. Thanks for tuning in to Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed, and stay ready.